Hey, I'm Dan Vega, and I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step of what happens in a 100-hour water fast. Now, first, I want to let you know that this is my second fast, and I've learned a lot since the last fast. I'm also going to be telling you why I'm particularly doing it. But first, let's talk about exactly what happens throughout this 100 hours. So first, the first thing that happens like 0 to 12 hours, we have normal digestion. Our body uses glucose in a normal way from your last meal, and there's not a lot of things that are changing your glycogen storage is pretty much untouched. It's at normal range. But when you get into 12 hours, we start hitting 12 hours, our insulin drops dramatically. Our liver glycogen begins to break down into glucose. Body shifts away from using that constant glucose or sugar supply and starts moving away to find another fuel. Okay. At 14 to 16 hours, ketones begin to start in the liver. So your body goes through a state of what we call ketosis, where it's now going from using glucose as fuel to now turning its attention to stored body fat. So we're not going to lose muscle, contrary to popular belief, but it's going to take away stored body fat. And the side benefit is we can lose some pounds there, and it's going to become the primary fuel for your brain and your muscles. At 16 to 17 hours, this is the key. This is when autophagy starts. That means that your cells that have been damaged are going to be recycled. Your body's looking for different sources of fuel. So it's going to go through all of your damaged cells. It's going to go through damaged protein blocks in your cells and remove waste and repair them. And this could be from damage from years ago. The only way to address it is getting into autophagy. Now, as we get into, let's say, 18 to 20 hours, there's a real hormone shift. And temporarily, we're going to have a cortisol increase. Don't worry, that's not going to give you the big gut. It's not too much. It's just short term, your body's under stress and your cortisol is going to rise. But fat stores are now going to be primarily used for energy. And this is when your blood sugar stabilizes. So if you're prediabetes, type 2, don't worry about blood sugar. This is when it's going to stabilize and you're going to feel great. You're going to start feeling a lot different. Now, 24 hours in, this is when you have a complete gut reset. And we know how much of our body is controlled by the gut. Our digestive system is actually going to reset as well. And the gut lining in our stomachs is actually going to begin to repair itself. And we're also going to completely see a difference when it comes to inflammation throughout the body, which we know inflammation causes most disease. So it's going to start decreasing inflammation throughout the body. Now, at 30 to 36 hours, fat burning and fat breakdown really begins to accelerate. Ketones are, again, the dominant fuel, and this is when we get a real boost in mental clarity. We're going to be very clear. Our processor is going to be really working fast. And then when we get into the next phase, when we start hitting the next phase, which is 36, 48 hours, deep autophagy actually begins. This is when our all the cellular damage is really at that deep level. Cellular repair, rejuvenation increases. Now, once we get past 48 hours, and that second day, by the way, might be the rough day. The first day, you might feel a little bit hungry at night. The second day, you might have a few symptoms of a mild detox, and we're going to talk about what I've learned and things to minimize that. But as we get into that second day, that could be the worst part. Now, at 48 hours, we get a growth hormone surge, and our metabolism really starts to speed up. In fact, we can get as much as 2,000% more human growth hormone. So again, we're not losing muscle. This is when you could even work out. You'll feel good enough to start working out. And even a slight workout is going to make a big difference because we are producing much more human growth hormone. And we're getting a hormone balancing, which is actually very important. 60 to 72 hours, we get a dopamine reset. And that's a nice a side effect, right? Dopamine reset. All of our neurotransmitters are actually going to be reset. They're going to be balanced and stabilized. Our mood's going to improve. And this is when we can expect all of those cravings, sugar, all those things really start to decrease and really disappear. Before that, like on day 2, you'll notice that You might not be really hungry like you were on night one, but there's a mental connection to food to where you'll see commercials and you'll want it, but then if you ask yourself, am I hungry? It's more of a mental connection. But even those cravings and that mental connection will start breaking after 48 hours and excuse me, 60 to 72 hours. Now, when we get to 72 to 96 hours, this is really interesting because this is when stem cell activation starts happening. So our bone marrow is actually releasing new stem cells and puts them throughout the body. People pay a lot of money for stem cell therapy and to get stem cells, but your bone marrow will actually produce new stem cells and send it throughout the body. And this is going to really regenerate our immune system. It's going to reboot and reestablish a strong immunity if we have things that work against that. At 100 hours, we're obviously at the peak renewal way of autophagy and stem cells. So with autophagy combined with the new stem cells that our body's producing, our immune strength and cellular rejuvenation is absolutely maximized. And you can feel absolutely like $1,000,000. Now, I want to say a few things. As I mentioned, this is my second fast. I learned a lot from the first one. So a few tips real quick if you want to breeze through this. Number one, the first one I did, I pulled off coffee. And if you do a lot of research, coffee can actually help promote going into autophagy, which is the entire key of why we want to do this. So, but you can't have even stevia or monk fruit. I would just recommend black coffee, no more than 2 cups a day. Okay, we can't drink a thermos full of coffee, but a couple of cups of coffee a day will actually promote autophagy. So I went cold turkey off everything, and I paid the price. So like day 2 of my first fast, I was hurting. I was in a hurt lager. Okay, but so I've learned that. The other thing that I've learned is the water, how to take in the water, and this is going to really minimize effects on day 2, negative effects. So if you do one big thing of water with lemon, maybe like a half a lemon, we can do that at least once a day. That's going to be a lot better. Having that lemon is going to really help promote a detox. But we don't want to do lemon water all day. It could actually affect our autophagy, and there is some calories. So once a day, you do the lemon water, right? Then once a day, what we recommend is maybe a quarter to a half a teaspoon of baking soda in your water. And that's going to be very easy to down. You don't have to put that much baking soda, that much water, but it could be a little bit of water, maybe 5 to 8 ounces, and just down it. And that's going to make your body very alkaline. We know that no disease can live if your body is in an alkaline state and it's not acidic, right? And then once a day while you're drinking this water, another good idea would be to get Baja sea salt, Baja Gold sea salt. It's much, much better than any kind of Himalayan salt if you can, because it doesn't have plastics. And our body needs a certain amount of minerals. I don't remember off the top. It was like 130 something minerals our body needs. And we don't get those minerals because of, over farming, and there's a reduction of these minerals for years in our soil. So we could go decades without having these minerals. And after that amount of time, we can start getting chronic disease. So that Baja Gold, just a pinch of it in some water once a day will also help with our electrolytes. It'll make us feel a lot better mentally, but also we're going to ensure that we get all of our minerals. Now, what about other supplements? It's recommended if we could take a few days off from supplements. It's going to be hard to do on an empty stomach. And remember, the goal for this really is autophagy. That is what's going to be the key to repairing damage. And if we have like one small cell, we're not going to go into autophagy. The only way to maintain this is a water fast and getting into a few days without food. And if you've eaten clean, but you've never done a water fast, then we've never likely been in this state of autophagy, which means that we may have damage or things that have damaged our health years or decades ago that still exist that actually can be greatly improved, if not eradicated, with the state of autophagy. So just something to keep in mind. A few other things too. On my last meal on the first one, I ate really bad. We did pizza, we did this, we did that. That hurt me the next day. So right now I'm in my second fast. I'm in day one. I'm about 20 hours in, and I'm feeling great. I'm a little bit hungry, but I stopped my last meal Sunday about 5 o'clock, and I did cheat. I had a nice steak with some blue cheese crumbles, mashed potatoes, had some cheesecake, I had some appetizers. But then when it got a little later at 9 p.m., I had a protein shake, and that was now starting to. I didn't want to eat that very last thing in my body. It was really would have paid the price on day two. And I am drinking 1 cup of coffee a day, so I feel, you know, that tomorrow is going to be a much better day for me. And let me give you the reason that I'm doing this. I'm not a doctor, so again, before you start in your water fasting or any program, consult your local doctor. I have to give you the asterisks. But what I am is I am a successful business person and entrepreneur, and I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of success over many years. And what I attribute that success to is research. I am a researcher. And as an investor, I do research. That's what the key to my success is. I don't make emotional decisions. I base my decisions on data and facts and science. And when I get into something, I do the research and I know what to do. And I've done so much research on how to do a water fast correctly, the benefits. And let me tell you why I'm doing it. So I'm not a person that puts blame, but I did take a COVID, uh, the shot, right? When the vaccine was going around. I was a little bit against it, but my wife insisted that I get one. I was kind of digging in, but honestly, I took like 10 immune shots for when I went to Africa because I wanted to. So I'm like, what am I digging in for? I got the shot. Now, if you notice, one of the shots available was Johnson and Johnson, and I'm not bashing Johnson and Johnson, but some of the side effects can be type 2 diabetes. There can be complications. And I was one of the lucky ones that actually came up with type 2 diabetes after the vaccine. So I'm not the type of person that's going to live with diabetes. I am going to reverse it if it at all data shows that it's possible. And I got to tell you, it's more than possible. It's probable if you follow certain steps. So that's why I'm doing it. If you have type 2 diabetes or high blood sugar, I can tell you where I'm at. My normal range was walking around between 3 and 350, which normal range is like 70 to 100. I was 350, so I was really high. I was peaking after meals between 4 and 500, which can be like literally coma. And the doctors were wanting to put me in the emergency. I felt horrible, sluggish, tired, lots of other symptoms, and they were pushing insulin, and I did not want to open that door. So I started doing a lot of research. And when I started my last fast last month, I was actually about 85% out of normal range when it comes to my blood sugar and 15% normal range. Once I did my first fast, the first one I did was 89 hours. I actually could have kept going, but my goal on the first one was only 72 hours, and I already had food prepared, and so I just caved at 89. But I could have easily. That's when you're in the easy part. And I'll tell you now that for the last few weeks, my blood sugar has been about 70% normal range, maybe even 75% normal range, and 25 to 30% high. And that's a huge difference. And so what I've decided to do is do the research, document everything day by day, let you know how I'm feeling, let you know what's happening. But also, I believe that if I'm going to do a 5 hour water or a 5 day water fast, 100-hour water fast once a month for the next few months, and I believe that by my third or fourth one, I will not have type 2 diabetes. And so if you want to take this journey with me, if you have high blood sugar or if you are type 2, I'll do the research for both of us. Let's do it together. All I ask is that you like and share this with people that you know are suffering, not just from high blood sugar, but any immune disease, even cancer. I've read many articles on this, and I know of a lady that had a 5 centimeter brain tumor, 5 centimeters big, and she also had a second one on her liver. She didn't want to go the route of radiation chemo. So what she did is she did a 27-day water fast, which put her in autophagy for about 24 days. And afterwards, the tumors were gone. Her body had to find another fuel source, and it repairs all damaged cells. Your body's going to stay in a state of alkaline, and that stuff's going to have to break down and be absorbed by the body. And so again, I'm not a pie in the sky guy that believes in this or that. I'm not a very wooey person. That's not me. But I do look at facts. And there's been many, many people with autoimmune disease, cancer, other things that have went this direction instead of chemotherapy or other radical expensive treatments, and have had really, really great success. So again, day two or day one, I'm feeling great. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a gut still. I'm 6'1", if you want to know, and I'm right now sitting at about 258. So one of the effects too will drop a few pounds, and I'll keep you posted on the next video. Okay, so it's day two, and I'm feeling pretty good, actually. I have a very slight headache, nothing major. I'm not even really, it's not debilitating in any way. Last time I did my first fast, day two, I was wrecked. I was hurting. So again, if we drink a pot of coffee a day, start weaning down to maybe 2 cups before we start, maybe a couple days before. If we're pounding energy drinks all the time, or if we're constantly eating a lot of sugar, start weaning before the fast. That way you can take something like Excedrin or whatever to reduce a headache, because once you're started the water fast, you don't want to take anything to help with just water, right? Remember too, we can have the lemon, we can have the baking soda, we can have the Baja Gold sea salt once a day. That's really going to help. And then as far as how much water we should be drinking, it's probably good to shoot for a gallon a day. You can't do anything else, so try to drink as much water as possible. In the next few hours, then I'm going to really start getting that gut reset. My digestive system will start really being focused on. The lining of my gut will start being repaired, which I'm happy about. Right now, what's happening is a hormone shift. There's a little bit of cortisol that's going to be rising. I'm a little bit moody, to be honest. I wouldn't say I'm hangry, but I'm a little bit moody. I can feel a little discouragement. I'm not depressed, but I feel a little bit like my blood sugar is stable. Probably I'm around 107 right now. So for a guy that's much higher than that, that's amazing. But this is when. So the first night and the day two is the part that's gonna mess with you. And, interesting thing about hitting goals and success, even financial success, most people, their default setting is actually on failure. When we hit a lot of resistance, we hit a lot of pain and resistance, we go to fail immediately. I'm not going to make it. And I got to be honest, I've had a lot of success in my life, but last night I did have that thought. Like, I don't know. But it was very fleeting. And I went to bed and I woke up feeling much, much better. So it's a mindset that we have to think about. So it's at the first night, and even day two is when we have to really reflect on things that give us motivation. I always think about the supermodel Kate Moss. I remember her saying one time that nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And we could add as healthy feels. I think about that a lot. Now, you also might have a poster of like Brad Pitt, Fight Club, whatever motivates you, whether you're doing this for weight loss or just health. But again, the key is autophagy. So when I hit like tomorrow, 36 hours or so, that's when my fat burning will really accelerate. But I am actually feeling pretty good today. And again, I will keep you posted on the next update. Okay, I'm on day three, and I gotta say, I'm feeling great. I feel amazing, actually. I'm a little over 60 hours in, and this is obviously when you get the dopamine reset, neurotransmitter balance. I feel I don't have any cravings. I'm not hungry. I have a lot of energy. I got a brief workout in this morning before I came into the office, and I feel amazing. I honestly wish I felt this way all the time, because I really, really do feel good. So a few things that I can expect today as I go from 60 hours to 72. I'm even going to get more into that dopamine reset, better mood, but I don't know if I could feel much better than I feel now. And then later on, as I get into like the 72-hour range, that's when your bone marrow, you start to produce more stem cells. So I'm past the hump. And really what you have to cling to at this time is, what is your resolve to do this? And why are you doing this? Right? That's what you have to think about. You have to think about the resolve, the attitude, right? Henry Ford said that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Meaning that, if you think you can do a 5-day water fast, if you think that you can improve your health, maybe reverse your type 2 diabetes or the inflammation or even more serious disease, you're right. You can. Millions of people do it. That's factual. But if you think you can't and it's hereditary and you've been dealt a bad deck of cards, and if that's our mindsets, believe me, that's going to take place. You're right as well. So it's really the attitude. And really, here's the deal. We are not going to have a significant change. We're not going to have significant growth. We might have micro growth or micro improvements in our lives, but we're not going to have significant change until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain that comes with change. And that's what we have to think about right now. How bad do you want to be there for your family, for your kids, for longevity, having a great quality of life? And I got to tell you, somebody asked me recently on an interview, does getting in shape, does doing things like this help with even our financial independence and maybe being more successful in business? And I got to tell you, the answer to that is like 175% yes. When you feel better, you perform better. So again, I'm feeling great and I will keep you posted. Okay, this is my day 4 update of the 100-hour water fast. And I gotta say, I'm feeling absolutely amazing. I don't have any of the head stuff going on. I'm not depressed. I don't feel low energy. And I'm not hungry. I feel really, really good. And yesterday was the same. I felt great. A couple of things. So I'm right just before 90 hours. So if you remember, at 60 to 72 hours is when you get the dopamine hit. Your chemistry kind of balances out. Your neurotransmitters are resetting, and you lose the cravings. You get a nice mood. Your mood improves, and that's been since yesterday. Coming in from like 72 to 96 hours is when you actually really get the stem cell activation. Your bone marrow produces a lot of stem cells, sends them throughout the body for additional repair. And remember, people pay a lot of money for that. And by going into autophagy, we can do that. The body can do it naturally. Just a couple of quick things. I want to say that my blood sugar, if you're wondering, for the last couple of days has been very stable. It's been basically perfect. I've been hovering between like 75 and 85. And if you remember, I was like in the 300s. It was very, very difficult, or very high. And since the last fast, it did drop significantly, but now I'm in optimal range. Also, when it comes to blood sugar, something to kind of think about is this isn't for weight loss. You're going to lose 4 or 5 pounds, right? And that's going to be incredible. Like I can tell I'm not sucking in that I've lost. I feel great, but you might gain everything but 1 pound back, and that could discourage you. And again, it's not about losing a pound, and we want to do it for health benefits. And even if you're doing it for weight loss, I can tell you, you're going to continue to lose because remember, we're getting through autophagy, we're getting rid of all those damaged cells, those zombie cells, and our cells that are healthy, they're going to become more insulin sensitive. See, our cells become insulin resistant even with prediabetes. And if we have a hard time losing weight, we're not burning a lot of calories, we can kind of look at something and gain. That's because our cells are insulin resistant. And this process will make your cells much more insulin sensitive, which means it's going to affect your metabolism. You're going to burn calories different. So I did lose a pound or two on the initial fast last month, but then I lost another 6, 7 pounds, and I haven't changed any of my routine because I feel like my body's working more optimal. And I suspect the same thing after this. So again, if you're doing it for weight loss, don't discourage. Remember that quitting is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. We want to fix the problem, and we need to draw on that motivation. Okay, so I finished my fast, and I have to say I feel absolutely amazing. I have energy. I feel great. I broke my fast with a vegetable shake, kind of like a vegetable shake with a little bit of protein, some roasted vegetables, and I had popcorn last night, some with no sugar, right? And today, so I'm feeling amazing. I did the 100, and here's the deal. I'm all about. There's no ask here. I don't have anything I sell. I'm just trying to if those people are out there that are like me, that maybe suffer with, diabetes, maybe type 2, and they have blood sugar, or they're overweight, they're just looking for some answers. That's what I'm trying to provide, is just some solutions, and just let you know the truth of how this works. If you decide to do a 100-hour water fast, I can't recommend it more. Okay, I am absolutely sold, and I'm going to continue to do one a month until I'm at not only my goal weight, but where I want to be optimal health. Um, the first night, I usually start mine like on a Sunday evening. My last meal will be like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then look, the next night, Monday night, is going to be tough. That's when it's really hard. This is my second fast. I was still like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Okay. But you got to down some lemon water, do whatever you got to do, and just go to bed. When you wake up the next day, you're going to feel great. I promise you. And that's really the tough part. And I even got a couple of workouts in. I felt so amazing. And my clarity, my processor is just fast. And like I said before, what I noticed is you might drop 4 or 5 pounds and gain 3 or 4 back. But here's the other thing that I noticed. Yesterday morning when I weighed myself, which was the last day of my fast, I was 10 pounds less exactly than the last day of my fast 30 days ago. Because again, it's changing our cells. It's making sure that our body works more efficient. It resets your gut health, right? It makes sure that your cells aren't insulin resistant. So you're going to have so many benefits. Even I can tell in my hair, skin. So again, I can't recommend it more. And the thing that you have to identify, this coat actually, when I bought this suit just about 6 months ago, or probably 4 months ago, I couldn't even button it. I bought it tight on purpose. It was like this. Now I actually feel like it's getting too big, right? And so again, I love the benefits. The thing that you have to wonder about and just really put some thought behind before you start this is, what's your why, right? Why are you doing this? I spent years in the seminar business doing financial seminars, and people were like, in the seminar business, one thing I didn't like is there's a lot of people that are going to tell you the what. Here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you need to be doing. And some of them might even sell you the how, like a workshop. Here's a big box of how, and you got to try to figure it out. But more important than the how is the how of the how, actionable steps, and also the why. Why are we even doing this, right? In financial sector, if our why is money, then it's not going to work, because when you experience pain and discomfort, when you experience a lot of resistance, which is going to happen when you're going towards any goal that's worthwhile, if it's just about money, you're going to hit a point saying, this isn't worth money, I'll find another way to make money. And you stop. So we need a deeper why we're doing this, right? And is it your children? Is it your family? Is it, more happiness? Is it something that maybe you've struggled with? Maybe you're trying to get through trauma, right? We got to identify what's the why. Because as I said before, we can't consistently perform in a manner that is inconsistent with the way we see ourselves, right? And so it's up to us to change, to be that person for our families, perhaps, that can lead, right? And when you feel, somebody asked me recently on an interview, does getting in shape, does doing these things help your finances? Does it help your family? The answer is 1,000% yes, because when you're feeling more optimal, when your body's working more optimal, when you have more clarity here, believe me, everything else is going to go up. So again, I hope this was beneficial. And obviously, you want to consult your doctor before starting any fast, blah, blah, blah. But I can't, I've seen so many benefits. Again, I plan to do one each month. So tune in for the next one that I do. And I'll give you a tip by tip of all the things that I continue to learn. If you want to reach out to me and talk, reach out. And by the way, other help that you need, my background, I've been very fortunate in life. I've had a lot of success in my life. And I'm doing this because I want to be optimal. My priority in life right now is not to make any more money, not to gain more influence and go viral, nothing like that. It's just about being happy and focusing on my faith and my family, and happiness and impact, giving back. But if you want to know other things like the financial, how do you become wealthy without disrupting your family? If that's something that you want to learn, there's a booklet that you're going to need to read. It's about this big. It's a tiny little booklet. You can read it in 90 minutes, called The Wealth Booklet. Now, this isn't something that you can buy in stores. There's no ISBN number. This information in this book's not contained in any other book, and it's nowhere on the internet. Somebody from the 1% has to give you a copy, and it's a different roadmap than what's out there. It's the roadmap that the 1%ers use. And it's really the first 5 or 10 steps in becoming wealthy. And I'm not a subscriber of the 80-hour grind, badge of honor, and I've never had to do that. I did it in my 20s, but honestly, nowadays, like the past 20, 25 years, I don't work more than 20, 25 hours. And now I work a lot less than that. So if you want something like that, just as the roadmap, um, type in wealth booklet in the comments and I'll send you a free copy. I don't need to sell it. Again, it's not for sale. I'm trying to help in any way I can. And after you read it, if it resonates with your values and your long-term vision, because it's very value-based as well, then I'll give you the next steps for the roadmap. But again, stay tuned for my next fast. I'll keep you abreast and hopefully you have a lot of success doing this on your own. Take care, everybody.